The Umbrella Man Part 2. He doesn't look very tired to me, does he to you, Mummy? My mother didn't answer. He doesn't look as though he's trying to get a taxi either, I said. My mother was standing very still and stiff, staring across the street at the little man. We could see him clearly. He was in a terrific hurry. He was bustling along the pavement, sidestepping the other pedestrians and swinging his arms like a soldier on the march. Well, he's up to something, my mother said, stony-faced. But what? I don't know, my mother snapped, but I'm going to find out. Come with me. She took my arm and we crossed the street together. Then we turned left. Can you see him? My mother asked. Yes, there he is. He's running towards... He's turning right down the next street. We came to the corner and turned right. The little man was about 20 yards ahead of us. He was scuttling along like a rabbit and we had to walk very fast to keep up with him. The rain was pelting down harder than ever now and I could see it dripping from the brim of his hat onto his shoulders. But we were snug and dry under our lovely big silk umbrella. What is he up to? My mother said. What if he turns around and sees us? I asked. I don't care if he does, my mother said. He lied to us. He said he was too tired to walk any further and he's practically running us off our feet. What a barefaced liar. He's a crook. You mean he's not a titled gentleman? I asked. Be quiet, she said. At the next crossing, the little man turned right again. Then he turned left, then right. I'm not giving up now, my mother said. He's disappeared, I cried. Where's he gone? He went in that door, my mother said. I saw him. Into that house. Great heavens, it's a pub. Just gonna change side, page. It was a pub. In big letters right across the front it said the Red Lion. You're not going in, are you, Mummy? No, she said. Well, we'll watch from outside. There was a big plate glass window along the front of the pub, and although it was a bit steamy on the inside, we could see through it very well if we went close. We stood huddled up together outside the pub window. I was clutching my mother's arm. The big raindrops were making a loud noise at our umbrella. There he is, I said, over there. The room where we were looking into was full of people and cigarette smoke, and our little man was in the middle of it all. He was now without his hat and his coat, and he was edging his way through the crowd towards the bar. When he reached it, he placed both hands on the bar itself and spoke to the barman. I saw his lips moving as he gave his order. The barman turned away from him for a few seconds and came back with a smallish tumbler filled to the brim with light brown liquid. The little man placed a pound note on the counter. That's my pound, my mother hissed. By golly, he's got a nerve. What's in the glass? I asked. Whiskey, said my mother. Neat whiskey. The barman didn't give him any change for the pound. That must be a treble whiskey, my mummy said. What's a treble? I asked. Well, 3 times the normal measure, she answered. The little man picked up the glass and put it to his lips. He tilted it gently. Then he tilted it higher and higher and higher, and very soon all the whiskey had disappeared down his throat in one long pour. That's a jolly good, expensive drink, I said. It's ridiculous, my mum said. Fancy paying £1 for something to swallow in one go like that. It cost him more than £1, I said. It cost him a £20 silk umbrella. Well, so it did, my mother said. He must be mad. The little man was standing by the bar with an empty glass in his hand. He was smiling now, and a sort of golden glow of pleasure was spreading over his face, round pink face. I saw his tongue come out to lick the white mustache as through searching for one last drop of that precious whiskey. Slowly, he turned away from the bar and edged his way back through the crowd to where his hat and coat were hanging. He put on his hat, he put on his coat, then, in a manner so superbly cool and casual that you could hardly notice anything at all, he lifted from the coat rack one of the many wet umbrellas hanging there, and off he went. "Did you see that?" my mother shrieked. "Did you see what he did?" "Shh," I whispered. "He's coming out." We lowered our umbrella to hide our faces and peered out from under it. Out he came, but he never looked in our direction. He opened his umbrella over his head and scurried off down the road the way he had come. "So that's his little game," my mother said. "Neat," I said. "Super." We followed him back to the main street where we had first met him and watched him as he proceeded, with no trouble at all, to exchange his new umbrella for another pound note. This time it was with a tall, thin fellow who didn't even have a coat or a hat. And as soon as the transaction was completed, our little man trotted off the street and was lost in the crowd. But this time he went the opposite direction. "You see how clever he is," my mum said. "He never goes to the same pub twice." "He could go on doing this all night," I said. "Yes," my mother said, "of course. But I'll bet he prays like mad for rainy days."